And I also believe that there's a relationship between Assata Shakur's, the FBI's resurgence in the interest in capturing our elder sister Assata Shakur. I think there's a relationship between that and Malcolm Shabazz's death, because they came within days of each other, Mrs. Blue. They came within days of each other. These are two people who had connections to the Black Power movement of the 60s and the 70s, and one of them is being hunted and the other one is murdered within days of each other. So I believe that what this is doing is that this is designed to send a message. The FBI's hunt for Assata is being renewed. It's not new, but it's being reemphasized. And Malcolm Shabazz's death is serving as a reminder to me, to you, to all conscious, revolutionary, progressive activist forces in the African community, particularly in America, but internationally, but particularly in America, that we are watching you, that we consider Black organizations to be terrorist groups, and if you get too far out of line, you will end up on the FBI list, or you will end up thrown from a roof somewhere. So I am paying very close attention to this situation, because I'm one of the more prominent spokespersons for our condition, and one of the more serious ones. We have a lot of brothers and sisters who talk about African history. That's not a threat to the United States government. We got a lot of brothers and sisters who deal with religion. That's not a threat to the United States government. But when you talk about organizing African people economically and politically, that's the threat. And because I've spent so much time traveling abroad, I'm going to start being a lot more careful. Malcolm Shabazz's death has done more to wake me up to the importance and need for security than anything else I've ever seen. Because me and him were so close to meeting when he died that was my message, that you need to be a lot more careful. Even the Boston bombing, Mrs. Blue, my heart goes out to those who lost people there regardless of their race. I was just in Boston the weekend prior to that bombing, and I said to myself, had I been in Boston during that bombing, is it possible that the FBI would have tried to name me as a possible suspect in that because of my work in the African community and because of the fact that my father has given me an African name? Now, I am not an Islamic nationalist in no way, shape, or form. Okay, I'm a Pan-African nationalist, but because of the name and because of the upbringing, I said to myself, it was probably a good thing that I was not in Boston at that time, because who knows if they would have tried to connect me being in Boston to that unfortunate tragedy that happened there. So we got to start being careful, because of the Assata and Malcolm Shabazz situation is sending us a clear message that we are about to start targeting Black organizations who do not break the law, break the law, but they're going to start targeting us as the next set of terrorists.
Joining me now, Richard Fowler, nationally syndicated radio host and Fox News contributor, and townhall.com editor, Katie Pavlich. Good to see you both. Wow. So, I mean, I went out to see, Katie, whether Debbie Wasserman Schultz was out denouncing the rhetoric that we are now hearing, you know, the lack of civility that she was complaining about with the Black Lives Matter movement. And this is what I found her saying about that movement. Stand by.
I'm proud of the young people who have been pushing that Black Lives Matter movement. We brought the Confederate flag down. We've made sure that symbols of hate are unacceptable in America.
Your thoughts?
Well, if Debbie Wasserman Schultz were really concerned about symbols of hate, she would be denouncing the Black Lives Matter movement. This is a movement that promotes the execution of police officers. This is a movement that glorifies Assata Shakur, who of course is a notorious cop killer who is now in Cuba as a fugitive. They wear T-shirts at their rallies that say Assata taught me. This is a movement that is easily condemnable, and Democrats like Debbie Wasserman Schultz and quite frankly President Obama stand on the sidelines and refuse to do it, whether in Minnesota, in New York City, in Ferguson, chanting, you know, pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. I mean, this is a movement that promotes the execution of police officers, and not only they are not condemning it, they're promoting it. You know, let's not forget
the DNC just came out with a resolution supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, which BLM rejected. But they're trying to tie themselves to the movement, the same movement that's chanting "pigs in a blanket, frying like bacon," and these same people are denouncing not long ago the lack of civility in America. Meanwhile, you got people connected with this movie or with this movement putting up the sign of a roasted pig and Darren Wilson's name on it.
One, Megan, I think that I don't think we're watching the same Black Lives Matter movement. I think if you talk to any of the organizers on the ground, both in Ferguson, in Baltimore, and New York, they will tell you they're a non-violent movement, that all they want to do is end the disparities.
Why were they chanting pigs in a blanket,
we've pointed out,
bacon? That was the Black Lives Matter movement in Minnesota. Why?
That is one small incident of the Black Lives Matter movement. The segment started with the Black Panther Party, which is not part of the Black Lives Matter movement at all.
How about that?
The Black Lives Matter movement is asking for accountability from police officers, and that's all they're asking for. And all we're hearing from is, why would I condemn?
Please stop. Just let me get the question out. Richard, you'll respond, and then Katie, you'll have a chance. Richard, the people on the left we just showed were very quick to blame violence that happened in the country on what they alleged were a couple of Tea Party comments that they found to be racist or incendiary. Why are they not as outraged now when, as you point out, okay, maybe it was just Minnesota, maybe it was just those new Black men, maybe it's just that one roasted pig, but suddenly the actions of a few do not apply to the many. Why the double standard?
Well, first, the shooting that you were talking about in the video clip, there's actually evidence that indicates that this person he had Tea Party sentiments, he agreed with the Tea Party. In this case in Houston, or in Texas rather, there is no evidence, right? There's been no investigation. And from somebody, Megan, who's a lawyer, you would say, let's see the facts first. We don't know if this killer's been connected with the Black Lives Matter movement or not. Now, with that being said, the Black Lives Matter movement for the past year has petitioned and fought to make sure that Black lives indeed do matter, and they're not gunned down by police officers or choked to death in New York City like Eric Garner was.
I just want to make it clear and obvious that Richard Fowler refuses to condemn Black Lives Matter's protesters.
I won't. You sure? You know what? I will not condemn them. I will not condemn people who are saying that unarmed black men should be shot by police. I will not condemn anybody who's against that. You refuse to condemn Black Lives Matter's protesters who want officers to be executed in their police vehicles. That is what you are promoting. There's no evidence.
Okay, let me just